Today we are going to talk about TikTok street photographers. Are they going to take over the planet? Is there no room for candid street photography anymore? We're also going to take a quick look at a new lens that Voigtländer announced for Fujifilm X mount. It's going to be a 27mm f2, which we already have, but this one is special because it comes with a focus tab. And then we got results for the GR Photo Contest 2022. I had the privilege to be one of the judges, and I'm going to show you my 3 images that I selected. We're also going to look at a photo zine. We're going to look at some of your images as well. So let's start with episode number 2.
Welcome.
Hi everyone, Samuel here. Welcome back to another episode of the Streetlife show, where I discuss recent topics, show you some new products or photo books, and talk about whatever I want to talk about, and hopefully inform you and give you some inspiration. So before we go into our main topic, a few recent photo news I want to cover. First of all, Voigtländer just announced new lenses. I think one is for the Canon RF mount. They're also going to make one for Nikon F mount, which is surprising to me, but hey, I'm quite happy about that. But I want to talk about the pancake lens that they're going to make for Fujifilm X mount. It's a 27 f2 Ultron, which sounds like it could be the same lens formula as the 40mm f2 Ultron for full frame, which I'm using on my Nikon D850. And the Ultron lenses from Voigtländer are always pretty great, they're always pretty sharp. They're basically a modern lens with a little bit of character sprinkled into them. So I like them a lot. And now they're coming out with a version for Fujifilm. And let's have a quick look here. Oh wait, I just found out that there's an official video from Voigtländer talking about that lens. I haven't seen that one yet. So I'm going to link it, of course, in the description. Let's have a quick look together here. So I will leave this playing in the background while I talk about it. They have a silver version as well, so it comes in black and silver. Personally, I'm interested in the silver lens because I like a silver lens on a black body, and I could see myself using that on my XH1 as a little fast street setup. It has an aperture ring, as always. It's fully manual focus, probably all metal. Build quality will be great. These Voigtländers here, my Ultron, amazing quality. I would even say it's probably on par with Leica lenses. Maybe long term there will be some issues with the oil or the greasing of the focusing mechanism. I don't know. I've never used a Voigtländer lens for more than 10 years. What really surprised me is that they decided to put a focus tab on it. And some of you might know this, but not everyone is aware why a focus tab is so important for street photographers. It all comes down to muscle memory and how quick you can set distances on the go when you're shooting on the street. And the focus tab just helps you put your focus into a position without looking at the lens. I kind of wish they would make a more traditional focus tab. This one reminds me of the Minolta Ricoh 40mm I used to own that also had a spiky texture, and it was still grippy, but a regular traditional focus tab would make a little bit more sense. And then another thing that I'm not too happy with is the distance scale. So you have 1.4 meters, for example, 3 meters, but then there's no 5 meters or 10 meters. I think on a 40mm equivalent, 5 meters is very useful and important to me. I always set my 40 f2 to 5 meters. That's the perfect distance if you want to capture full body shots of people in a landscape orientation. And yes, 3 meters is probably fine. And because if you shoot APS-C, the depth of field, is different. So I guess if you set this lens to 3 meters and stop it down to f8, you probably have everything in focus anyways. So it might not be a big deal. But this could be a very good option for X-Pro shooters. I would love to experience how that will be like. I'm sure it will be better than Fujifilm's own 27 f2 VR lens. This one here is probably not weather sealed, but you get the benefit of a distance scale, focus tab, And it looks like it's going to be a bit more compact as well. But yeah, we will see. If I get my hands on one, I will make a video about it for sure. Okay, let's talk about the GR Photo Festival contest from 2022. And before I talk about the results, I want to highlight and applaud Ricoh for creating this unique concept where there's no real winner. What they did is they chose a bunch of judges from all over the world, GR shooters mainly, of course. And then they or us, we got to select 3 images out of thousands of images that were submitted. And we had to write a little comment about our selections, what we like about the image. And I think that's such a good concept because I personally have a little bit of a beef with photo contests, traditional photo contests, because most of them are really about profit, to be honest, and they're taking advantage of people wanting to get some validation or a pat on the shoulder from colleagues. And there are always exceptions, but in my experience, most of them, first of all, they charge too much. This one was free. And then they have judges that, aren't really involved in it, or they have the same judges in multiple competitions, which also is kind of questionable. And this one is all about celebrating, good work from the community. And by choosing 3 images per judge, I mean, how many judges do we have here? I think, 10 judges. So we have 30 images that are highlighted now, and they're going to do an exhibition in Tokyo as well, and the judges also will be exhibited, I think, with 1 photo. So if you're in Tokyo, have a look out for that exhibition, and send me some pictures because I can't be there. If you see it and see my picture and my selection, then send me a picture on Instagram. That would be nice. And the theme was daily life, so whatever you capture in your day-to-day life. And it was really interesting seeing how the submissions coming from Japan differ to the submissions coming from the West. Because we in the West are so focused on, serious street photography. And in Japan, I feel like when they talk about daily life and snap shooting, they see differently. So there were a lot of images of families and things that are very personal. And from the submissions that were coming from the Western countries, a lot of very serious street photography, impressive street photography as well. I chose images that I feel like are more aligned with the theme. And the first photo I chose is from Nagai Satoshi from Japan. And this is just a very classic, timeless photograph of childhood in Japan. And kids in Japan, they often play outside, catching bugs. They do this with their school class as well, and it's just a very regular activity for them. But you can tell that it was taken from the point of view of a parent, so therefore it makes it personal. But at the same time, it's also a good description of childhood in Japan. This is a great scene in an underground subway in Paris. And this is a kind of photograph, that I like to take, or I strive to take. And when I saw this image coming up, my first thought was like, damn, I wish I'd taken that. And it seems like a very simple crowd shot. But what makes this great is all the faces and characters you can see. And it tells us a story of the time, the technology we use. You see the girl using, AirPods, probably recording a voice message. You have a mother with her child, workers, you have people from all kinds of backgrounds. Then you have this woman next to a window wearing a mask, which signals to us that this is probably after COVID. So this is a post-pandemic street scene. Just the way it is framed, very dynamic, a little bit tilted, which adds to this point of view of the photographer. But yeah, I really liked that one. And then I chose this one here from, I can't read kanji, but it's a Japanese photographer. And I was debating between this and another one, a black and white shot, which had a little bit more action in it. But I chose this one because it's so simple. It's something that everyone can take, but it tells a story without trying hard to show us a story. All these footprints, and the snow looks very fresh. So maybe this person came back from work, picking up his or her bike, and then, you know, it just started snowing. A great example of daily life. Yeah, very interesting. So have a read, go check it out, and hopefully Ricoh will do this again this year. And yeah, let's move on to our main topic, our hot topic. So TikTok. What are your thoughts on TikTok? I can tell you that personally I'm very anti-TikTok. There's so many things about TikTok that I don't like, especially when I see what it does to the youth. It's I'm hoping that it goes away until my son is old enough to use a smartphone. But we're not talking about the platform itself, but we are going to talk about a trend that emerged out of the platform, and that is street photographers, or let's say photographers who do these street portraits or portraits. You see where I'm going with this. It's not quite clear what they're doing. But basically, if you haven't seen any of these clips, let's watch one right now.
How's it going?
Hey, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good.
My name's Danny, I'm a street photographer. I think you look like a goddess.
Thanks.
I was wondering if I could do a portrait for you.
Sure.
So this is one of the many photographers who became popular in the recent years. I don't know exactly when the trend started, must be very recently. Surprisingly, this trend was started by an individual from Germany, from the city of Karlsruhe. Shout out to East Block Boy, who's a little bit mad that someone in his city started this. And it's this Russian guy, I think, Benjamin is his name. And, you know, watching him, I don't have anything against him as a person. He seems like a sweet guy, you know, his accent is kind of sweet. And the way he talks to people, you know, a little bit on the shy side, which sometimes can be awkward. But there's no harm in doing that. And, you know, everyone should do whatever they want to do. Or I think the problem that the street photography community has, and when I talk about street photography community, I talk about the people who mainly focus on the candidness of their street work. So documenting daily life, mundane life on the street in public spaces. And I think that these people, and me included a little bit, we feel kind of attacked when we see these popular TikTokers. Some of them call themselves street photographers. Some of them say they are street style photographers, or they are just photographers. But they're always trending under the street photography umbrella. So I think us hardcore street photographers, you know, who come from a more traditional street photography background, we feel probably a little bit of jealousy as well, but we feel kind of like, oh, we got to protect what we have, and they are kind of ruining it for us. And I want you to also write your thoughts about it. To be honest, when I first saw them, I thought this is kind of whack, this is a little bit awkward, and some of them aren't really good at talking as well, so you see that the subjects feel a bit uncomfortable. There are occasions where the photographer is really persistent.
Entschuldigung, eine kurze Frage. Haben Sie Hochzeit oder so? Ja. Kann ich Ihnen ein kurzes Geschenk machen? Das dauert 2 Sekunden, sorry, ich will nicht stören. Ich bin Fotograf, ich will euch ein Bild schenken. Wir haben ja unsere Fotografen dabei. 2 Sekunden, das schenke ich euch. Sie müssen auch dafür nichts bezahlen. Das ist einfach ein Geschenk für Sie. Ich wünsche Ihnen ein... Aber wir haben ja echt viel Zeit. 2 Sekunden. 1, 2, 3.
And then if you allow me to talk about the results, you know, most of them, they shoot long lenses, wide open apertures, and they just blur out the background. Of course, everyone looks good, or everyone thinks they look good with a blurry background.
That's a nice camera, and you have very good photography skills.
Really
in the background,
pretty.
yeah.
Wow, you have a nice camera.
So regular people who aren't really into photography, of course, they prefer a photograph of them taking on an 85, you know, or 50, and then seeing themselves popped out of the background, instead of us shooting wider focal lengths and then including the environment as well. But my theory is, and there's an example also from another expert who pointed that out in a German documentary.
Der symbolisiert für uns, dass auch wir das sein können und weckt vielleicht in uns auch die Hoffnung, dass wir vielleicht der Nächste sind, der dadurch berühmt wird.
And that is that people who see these strangers and hold that thought, because I think not everyone in this video is a real stranger, but seeing a stranger look so beautiful in a photograph makes us normal people feel like, oh, maybe I could be that beautiful. Maybe I could be famous. And with this German photographer, Benjamin, there were some TV shows following him, and they were all highlighting this aspect, you know, that he makes people famous overnight. So it makes me think, what happens with these images in the future or these videos? I think they're going to remind us how much we focus on ourselves, on our appearance. And because all of these portraits are posed, it does not always show a real authentic image of that person. And I don't disregard, you know, portraiture as an art form. There are a lot of good portrait photographers. I think personally I just have a little bit of an issue mixing it with street photography, because even us hardcore street photographers, we are not quite sure, is street portraiture street photography? I would say yes, but it's just a little bit different from candid street photography. But from my perspective, you know, I do candid street photography, and I'm hoping that my images and all of our images that are not staged will be valued later because they are not staged, because they are authentic. And a good example would be the British photographer Tom Wood. He's one of my favorite photographers because he's such a good sense of color, and he also did do a lot of portraits on the street of strangers. And he obviously got their permission, you can tell, because they're looking into the camera. But something is different. If you compare these images to these TikTok photographers' images, and I'm sure that Tom Wood was aware that it's more powerful to take images of people without too much artificial expressions. You know, if someone is really laughing from the heart, then that looks different than someone smiling for the camera, right? So by choosing not to make people smile, he probably told them, you know, just look into the camera with a straight face, or think of something. In a way, he captured them in a more neutral way. And the images still tell us a lot about them, the fashion, the hairstyles. And that's the kind of work that I personally prefer seeing. So I'm not sure how these TikTok photographers' images are going to hold up. I'm sure we will still value them as, look, this is this period of our time. And I'm not going to say that, you know, the images are all crappy. Some of them are, you know, lovely. But maybe lovely is not going to hold up in the future if we know that it's only lovely in most cases because it is for social media. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts. And I have no hate against them. They are a little bit annoying because there are so many of them on all platforms. But hey, they leave some positivity behind in this world. And for that, I don't want to, you know, bash on them too hard. So take this as a little bit of a motivation boost for you street photographers out there who do the hard work. Let's not be too distracted by these kind of trends. It's interesting to see, but I have a feeling this will fade out in the long run. That's just what I think. Quick little plug I want to do for some friends in Germany here. We have a new street photography zine, or actually it came out last year, but I'm sorry guys if you're watching. I'm slow, but they sent me this zine. This is from Cologne street photographers. Very nice zine. I can highly recommend it if you're interested in seeing what German street photography looks like. This is not really a good depiction of the whole German street photography community because it's, you know, focused on Cologne, one city. But it is a book that has a lot of variety in it and a lot of street photography that I really like, which you don't often see in Germany because we Germans are a little bit scared and hesitant when it comes to street photography, showing faces and such. But here you can see all kinds of street photography, black and white, color, you know, some portraits, some abstract work, and very cool. I was very surprised seeing these images. Very interesting to see one city captured over probably more than a decade, because some images here are very old. And I don't think that this comes from a collective. I know that there's a WhatsApp group in Cologne where lots of Cologne street photographers connect to each other. And I think they decided to make a zine about basically a best of street life in Cologne. This is a great image here. I like this one a lot. I'm not quite sure where this is available, but I will find out and I will put a link in the description. Check it out. Or if you are in Germany, support these guys, buy a zine. And makes me excited about street photography in Germany, which is a hard task to accomplish, because I usually don't get too inspired by German street photography. But this is a good book or zine. So yeah, thanks Kevin and thanks David Chocobin. And I want to see more of these kind of zines in all kinds of cities. Not only made by street photography collectives, but everyone who lives in the city. Let's gather together and make the best book we can do on our city. What a cool concept. All right, it is time to look at some of your photographs. Last time I mentioned that I created a new hashtag and asked you to use that hashtag on Instagram so that we can look at some of your images. And whoa, we have over 1,000 posts already. That's crazy. I'm just going to randomly open up some images. This one here from Laurie Clapson from Liverpool. Let's have a look. I've never been to Liverpool. I really want to go. I like this first one because the angle makes us focus on the guy here, and we don't really see the rest, which is a great way to highlight someone in a busy crowd. Oh, a frame within a frame. I like when you see this on the street, you gotta make use of it. Yeah, it works. Nice one. Oh, this is the light we all want, right? This is from Gabo Gabriel, Santiago. Gotta love me some tourists. This almost looks like a homeless person. I'm not quite sure. Maybe it was just cold. But this reminds me of the discussion I wanted to start on this show. But I'm hesitant to do so. About the ethics of taking photographs of like homeless people and people in less fortunate situations. But I think in this case, it's totally fine. You show the environment, and this person is anonymous. You don't see the face. So that makes it, ethically a little bit more okay. Personally, I don't want to make this too much about this topic, but personally, I think if they're part of a story you want to tell of the city, and you can show them in a way that's not going to hurt them in any way, then I'm all for it. The colors here is very nice. Yeah, you don't always need to focus on people, of course. You can look at things that people left in the environment. This is a great crowd shot. I just love showing crowds because there's so much to see, so many details. Oh damn, what happened here? But I think they're just playing. Ooh, this one is really great. I don't know how I feel about the person on the right, but the middle is very strong. The way they're shaping like a V. So, Mr. Check My Bad Self, let's give you a follow. Why not? Oh, what a beautiful street scene. Again, what a beautiful street scene. Oh, this reminds me of Gustavo Mina's style. We don't often get this kind of light where I live. But yeah, bus stops are sometimes great spots to do some photography. This is a cool moment. I like the energy here. Oh yeah, we recently had a carnival here in Germany. This is Düsseldorf, and Cologne always goes crazy. When you take photos of a carnival, you should always look around what's happening outside of the parade and see, how the crowd is interacting with the people who are dressed up, or how the costumes are interacting with other regular things or people. We had our own version of carnival here in Lower Saxony, where I live. At the end, there were two women going home in their costumes, and I saw that, and I was on my way back anyways. So I took a photograph of them walking back home, And because, you know, everything was over, they were walking in this very normal looking countryside village. And you only get stuff like that if you know, stay until the end or look what else you can capture outside of the event. Okay, I reached the end. Okay, good. Oh, someone posted a reel. Jan on film. GR film simulations. Nice. So yeah, thanks for showing us your photographs. Keep using the hashtag, and next time I'm going to look at some images again. Maybe we do a little bit of a theme. Oh, I wanted to talk about that little coffee shop trend that we started. Let's do it next time. Okay, and that is the end of this episode number 2. I'm slowly warming up to it, and hopefully this was entertaining. Let me know your thoughts on more topics to cover. If you have suggestions, I'm always welcoming ideas. And I see you in the next one at another random time. All right, thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye bye. Ciao. Tschüssi.